Hello, my friends, and welcome to today's video break. Psalm 44 verse 1 says, "We have heard it with our ears, O God. Our ancestors have told us what you did in their days, in days long ago." Aren't you thankful that we have the stories of our great and almighty, all-powerful God from our ancestors that have been passed down? You know, David lived in those stories. That was part of how David can continue carrying on his faith, because he knew what God had done in the past. And he was counting and relying upon God to be who God has said and is today. And that's pretty remarkable. Think about that. They didn't have the media that we have today. They didn't have, well, let's turn on the television, see what God's up to today. No, they had parchment. They were writing. There was very few writings, but there was the word of mouth, the ancestor stories that carried down through generations. My friends, I think we've got a technique. I think we have stories. We have stories of what God has done. I just sat and listened to one of my African friends tell me the stories of what God had done in his life, and how remarkable it is that grows our faith when we hear what God is doing and has done. There's something so significant about the stories of God, because it's testimonies. It helps us to realize that God is who he said he is when we hear what God has done. So friends, if you're in one of those places where you're doubting, you're unsure, go to the stories of the ancestors. Rely upon what you've heard others to say is true. The Word of God is filled with the stories of ancestors. And I can't help but to think that some of us have stories that need to be continued to pass on. So maybe there's a story that somebody needs to hear. Maybe it's a story of old, how God had, our past brothers and sisters were enslaved, and how God had set them free. And he's still doing that today. So what's your story? What story can you pass on? You, my friend, have a blessed day living there in the stories that has been passed on to us, the truths of our almighty, all-powerful God. Be blessed.